into most foreign countries when they were captured as slaves in the 17th century. They worked in various sectors of the organization, ranging from agriculture to mining activities. The job needed a lot of workforce, so many more slaves were brought into the country. After a while, the slaves began to take a percentage of the country's population. When the slave trade business got abolished, most of them remained in the country, while few left for other countries. There are currently a lot of non-African countries that have a large population of blacks, which takes a large percentage of their total population. In this video, we'll be taking a look at these countries with the highest black population. Stay tuned as we unveil them. Let's begin. 10. United Kingdom. The UK is one of the whitest countries, but surprisingly, there is also a large number of blacks living in the country. Blacks make up about 2.4% of the population, with a population of over 2.4 million out of the 64 million inhabitants. Not all blacks living in the UK are British citizens. Some migrated from other countries to the UK, and they may hold different citizenship or immigration status. However, black individuals that were born and raised in the UK are British citizens, either by birth or through naturalization. Most black British living in Greater London are descendants of slaves. Blacks who are descendants of slaves that ended in the 19th century are known as the Old Diaspora, while those who migrated voluntarily to the country through scholarship or as workers are regarded as the New Diaspora. Blacks can be found in various parts of the UK, including major cities such as London, Birmingham, Manchester, Liverpool, and Bristol. However, some areas are more populated than others due to historical, social, or economic factors. 9. Mexico. This country has about 126 million inhabitants, and about 2.5 million are blacks. That is 1.98% of the total percentage. The blacks in the country during the period. Not all blacks with African ancestry living in Mexico can be self-identified as Afro-Mexican. The actual number of individuals with African ancestry in Mexico is higher than the report gotten from the official statistics. In terms of population distribution, the Afro-Mexican population is not evenly distributed throughout the country and is concentrated in certain regions, such as the Costa Chica region of Guerrero and Oaxaca, as well as the state of Veracruz. These locations are known for their agricultural and fishing industries, so some blacks may be employed in these sectors. There has been an increase in recognition of the Afro-Mexican community in recent years. In 2015, for the first time, the Mexican government recognized the Afro-Mexican community as an ethnic group. This has helped to increase the visibility and awareness of the Afro-Mexican population. 8. Jamaica. This should not come as a surprise to many of you, as you always see them going far in sports, especially in athletics. About 78.3% of the total population are identified as blacks, Afro-Caribbean, or mixed race with African ancestry. Based on these estimates, it can be inferred that the population of blacks living in the country is about 2.4 million out of a total population of 2.8 million. Jamaica is recognized for its significant population of African descent, many of whom are descendants of enslaved Africans brought to the island during the colonial period. Most Afro-Jamaicans are descendants of slaves from the transatlantic slave trade. The slaves were taken from Akan, Ibibio, Igbo, and other ethnic groups in Ghana, Nigeria, and the Republic of Benin. The black population in Jamaica is dispersed throughout the entire island, with significant concentrations in urban areas such as Kingston, Montego Bay, and Spanish Town. 7. Venezuela. About 4% of the Venezuelan population self-identify as black or Afro-descendant. Most of the Afro-Venezuelans are descendants of the 100,000 African slaves that were taken to the country during the transatlantic slave trade. According to historical data, the black population in Venezuela has grown over time due to factors such as immigration from other countries, natural population growth, and intermarriage with other ethnic groups. The black population is dispersed throughout the country, but some regions have a larger population of blacks. These regions include coastal areas, particularly in the states of Falcón, Sucre, and Zulia, as well as in the capital city of Caracas. 6. France. Many people will be surprised with this, but yes, France. The first blacks in France can be dated back to the 16th century, when blacks were captured as slaves by French traders. And now they are one of the top nonpartisan countries with a high black population. The population steadily increased over the past few decades. In 1999, according to the National Institute of Statistics and Economic Studies, the estimated population of black or African people in France was around 1.1 million, and by 2020, it had increased to around 2.2 million. In 2023, the number had increased to the range of 3 to 5 million. The increase in the black population can be attributed to a combination of immigration, natural increase, and changes in self-identification. In terms of migration, during the post-World War I period, a lot of people migrated to France, particularly from North and West Africa, either to seek refuge or help fight the war. This further led to an increase in the black population. The blacks are dispersed throughout the country, but they are more concentrated in some areas due to historical, social, and economic factors like Marseille, Saint-Denis, Guadeloupe, Martinique, and Réunion. 5. Colombia. Despite the high level of racism in Colombia, African descent takes up about 36% of the total population. The first black people to arrive in Colombia were African slaves who were brought over by the Spanish during the colonial period, starting in the early 16th century. After a while, the black population in Colombia began to increase when they started forming a community, which consisted of slaves escaping from their captors. The name of their free community is Palenques. The majority of Afro-Colombians are descendants of slaves, although some also have indigenous and European ancestry. There has not been a significant change in the population of blacks in Colombia over the past few decades, according to a report. In 2005, there were about 10.6% of the country's population. This is a slight increase from the 10.4% recorded in the previous census in 1993. Currently, there are over 11 million Afro-Colombians. Most Afro-Colombians reside in coastal areas such as Chaco, Valle del Cauca, and Buenaventura. 4. Dominican Republic. Many people always ask if the Dominican Republic is a state or country. We would like to confirm that it is a country. About 8% of people in this country are identified as blacks. This is one of the topmost non-African countries with an estimate of over 8 million Afro-Dominicans. Most of the Dominicans have mixed African and European ancestry, with some having indigenous and other ancestral backgrounds. There has been a great increase in the black population. This increase can be traced back to the country's history of slavery and colonialism. During the colonial period, the Spanish men captured large numbers of Africans and they were enslaved. There has not been a pause in the growth of the Afro-Dominican population, as it continues to grow throughout the post-independence period. The increase during this period is because of the abolishment of slavery, the economic development of the country creating job opportunities, and the rise of black consciousness movements with a growing pride in Afro-Dominican culture and heritage. The Afro-Dominican population can now be found in most parts of the country, from coastal areas such as San Cristobal and San Pedro de Macorís to deep inland areas such as Cotuí and Monte Plata. 3. Haiti. Afro-Haitians are citizens of Haiti of African descent. Haiti is located in the Caribbean, and it has approximately 11 million people. There are over 95% blacks in this country. Haiti is regarded as one of the most populated countries in the Caribbean region. It is also known as the most populous country in the world, with a predominantly black population outside of the African continent. The high population of black in Haiti is due to a combination of factors. This can be traced to the country's history of slavery and colonialism. A large number of African slaves were on the island. This population was further supplemented by immigrants from other parts of the Caribbean and African countries. Haiti has a relatively small land area of approximately 27,750 square kilometers, which means that the black population is concentrated in a small area. This small land area has led to high population in urban areas, such as the capital. Most of the African migrations are from West Africa and Central Africa, majorly from Ghana, Nigeria, Cameroon, Angola, Sierra Leone, Benin, and Senegal. 2. The United States. The population of Black in the United States varies widely by region and state. Ever since Blacks got into the United States during transatlantic slavery, there has forever been an increase in the Black population. The population increased because many Blacks currently volunteered to go to the country. According to statistics, the number of African-born Americans increases sporadically over the years. High concentrations of Black residents can be found in the southern states of the U.S., particularly in the states of Mississippi, Louisiana, Georgia, and Alabama. Texas has the highest Black population in the United States of 3 million, about 14% of Texas's total population. It is also the second most diverse state in the U.S. States, such as Montana, Wyoming, and Maine, have a large number of Blacks. There are currently over 40 million Blacks living in the U.S., which makes up about 13.6% of the country's population. 1. Brazil. This is the most populated non-African country with Blacks. They are engaged in various activities in the country, but their distribution is not uniform. Some areas have higher concentrations of Black residents than others. The Northeast region states such as Bahia, Maranhão, and Pernambuco have a higher concentration of Black residents. Southeast regions such as São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro have a lesser Black population. In contrast, the South and Central West regions of Brazil have lower concentrations of Black residents. Santa Catarina has the lowest proportion of Black residents in the country. Blacks first got to Brazil through slavery, and after it ended in 1888, most of them settled in the country. There are over 55.9 million people of African descent living in Brazil. As we have seen from this video, the presence of countries outside of Africa with significant Black populations can be attributed to a variety of factors, including historical migration patterns, colonialism and slavery, and voluntary and involuntary diaspora. African immigrants and their descendants have established communities in many countries around the world, and some of these communities have grown to become significant portions of the population. Many countries in America and the Caribbean have significant Black populations as a result of the slave trade and the forced migration of Africans to these regions. The diversity of Black experiences around the world underscores the global impact of Africa's rich cultural heritage, as well as the tragic legacy of slavery and colonialism. Are you a Black living in one of these countries? Let us know what you have to say in the comments section.
Thanks for